The first man's name was Kiki. He wore such little pants. His brother was the champion, but Kiki loved to dance. The second man was Choo-Choo, a master of romance. He loved the damsel in distress, but not as much as dance. And then one day it happened. They went off to the world. They went on to a journey, idolized by the boys and girls. They learned so many lessons in all the foreign lands. But no matter where they wound up, they never stopped the dance. One day inside the station, in Amsterdam perchance, the men were dancing side by the man with the crooked glance. They turned to face each other. It was just happenstance that these two men would meet that day and do that fateful dance. Wow, you can really dance. Wow, you can really dance. He went. They said, we've both been dancing all this time. What a coincidence. And then they danced together like no one's danced before. The diplomats were dancing, they cancelled all of the war. No more. The whole world celebrated, was no more violence. And all because these men crossed paths. What a coincidence! Dance, 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 dance. Let's dance.
Do you genuinely think you are the best female breaker in Australia?
Well, I think my record speaks to that.
Is there any merit in those criticisms?
It is really sad to hear those criticisms, and I am very sorry for the backlash that the community has experienced, but I can't control how people react.
Australian journalists running after you while you're walking down the street, chasing you, asking you these questions. It must have been unlike anything you've ever experienced before. What was that moment like?
That was really wild. These people are chasing me. What do I do? But that really did put me in a state of panic.
Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have faced off in their first presidential debate, a showdown that could decide who wins the race for the White House. US Bureau Chief David Woiwod is in Philadelphia. David, did either candidate score a decisive blow?
And good afternoon. Well, this was certainly a dominant performance here this evening in Pennsylvania from Vice President Kamala Harris. Of course, just her first time on the national debate stage in this format, and she is certainly on many of those major issues currently confronting America. She has run rings around former President Donald Trump. It has to be said. In fact, she has baited him, she has goaded him, and quite predictably, Donald Trump has taken the bait on a number of those issues, and he was caught trying to answer several topics at once, never really staying on message for too long, and he certainly came across a little bit of a hot mess at times, according to a number of those pundits who are now doing the rounds in this spin room here this afternoon. And we have those surrogates. They are currently over there, and you can see them. They are sharpening their attacks, and I can tell you that Democrats are very happy tonight. It has to also be pointed out that fact checkers, they had a very busy evening here in Pennsylvania, and that is for the very simple fact that a lot of Donald Trump's points tonight, they were either half-truths, myths, truths, or flat-out lies, including this when it comes to crime rates in the United States and around the world.
Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country.
Well, I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear.
So now we are in this position where this was the only actual scheduled debate of this election season right now. So that very nervous wait is now on for both of those candidates as they await those polling numbers. We can see there the former presidential candidate himself, RFK Jr. He was one of Donald Trump's surrogates here in the spin room, and he's trying to push that message for the former president. But we're now in that holding pattern to see those poll numbers, the first of those poll numbers, to see if this has moved the needle at all with those undecided Americans there.
All right, David, thank you very much. David Woodward live in the US at the presidential debate.
Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm
I don't
asking...
know. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her.
I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse.
It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.